So I was rewatching True Detective Season 1 with my roommates, and I saw something familiar that I'd never given much thought about before, and it had to do with the relationship between Rust Cohle and the mystery villain, best known as the Yellow King. These two men seem connected in a way that's underrepresented when given options for types of villain-hero duos. But I have seen this kind of connection before. You probably have too, in David Fincher's Se7en.
Do you like what you do for a living?
You see, Se7en is a noir crime thriller from 1995 focusing on themes of guilt and judgment. David Fincher decided to make the film because he felt it was a, quote, meditation on evil rather than a police procedural. So before I talk about why the relationship between these guys and these guys is unique, let's talk a little bit about the norm. Se7en is a lot of things, but one of the things it is a buddy cop story. And much like every buddy cop story, it's not just important to establish the difference between the buddies, but also the protagonist against the antagonist. A ground level example of this is Lex Luthor and Clark Kent. These two are polar opposites, which helps keep a nice clean line between the goodies and the baddies. The good people want to help and the bad people want to hurt, so we want to create a gulf between the two. In Superman, the way to do this is by having Clark be incredibly physically strong and Lex Luthor incredibly smart. Superman is an underprivileged small-town farm boy, while Lex Luthor is a highly privileged coastal elite. And even from another viewpoint, Superman is born a highly privileged super being, and Lex Luthor was born just a lousy meatbag human. These two characters are polar opposites in just about every way, and this is a technique used to create conflict between the hero and the villain, which has stood true for years. But Se7en introduces a glitch into that format, so let's get into the breakdown. Morgan Freeman plays a character named William Somerset, and we meet Somerset in the twilight years of his career. He expresses his interest in retiring. Somerset has seen so much ugliness in this world that he's ready to quit.
Where are you headed?
Far away from here.
He's given up on us. But two buddy cop tropes rear their head in the forms of the rookie who needs guidance and the one last job. The rookie is David Mills, played by Brad Pitt, a hothead who's eager to make a difference, and the one last job turns into a serial murderer who's still at large. The killer is a nameless man who passes judgments to his victims based around the 7 deadly sins, like forcing a man he accuses of gluttony to eat until his stomach explodes, or forcing a man he accuses of being slothful to do nothing for a year. Eventually, John Doe's diary is found and...
What sick, ridiculous puppets we are, and what a gross little stage we dance on. What fun we have, dancing, fucking, not a care in the world. Not knowing that we are nothing. We are not what was intended.
John Doe is a full-blown nihilist. He's judged humanity and found it wanting. He, like Somerset, has given up on humanity. Ultimately, John Doe presents a test for the agents as he's only missing Wrath from his list. Somerset passes this test, but Mills fails. In the aftermath, Somerset is asked where he'll be, and he responds,
Where you gonna be?
Around. I'll be around.
You see, Somerset was on a dark pathway, and I'm not saying he would have become John Doe someday, but I do think it's a pathway that John Doe was further along on. Both men were sickened by the sin of the world. They measured it and found it wanting. So when Somerset peered into the abyss and he saw John Doe looking back, he saw that he and John Doe weren't opposites like Superman and Lex Luthor. They were just the same. And basically it scared Somerset straight. Somerset got to learn from the weakness of Mills and John Doe the error of his own beliefs, and comes back around to the side of the angels. And so the film ends not when Mills murders John Doe, but when Somerset decides to give humanity another chance. He's not giving up anymore.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
Like, as far as YouTube was concerned, I think Best of the Worst was one of the early kind of versions of that. Like, let's get together and discuss bad movies. Obviously, everyone knows like Mystery Science Theater 3000 has been around for a long time. Like B movie festivals, actually. So I'm in Milwaukee, just to the south of us here at